See, the devil is after women, but that is not the primary reason why he's after women. He's after the children. Why is he after the children? Because according to the book of Revelation, two witnesses will be born in the end time. These two witnesses will have so much power. They will have the ability to call fire from heaven. I believe the last two witnesses are on earth. Yo, what's up? Can you hear me? Can you hear me loud and clear? Okay, now there is an attack on the female gender, and if you can watch this video to the end, you're going to understand what I'm going to explain. What I'm about to explain to you guys is deep knowledge. This knowledge dropped on me in the middle of the night by 3 o'clock, because I'm always awake from 3 o'clock. Something happens to me from 3 o'clock, I just lose sleep entirely, and I'm always awake from 3 o'clock up till 6 o'clock. This is one of the deep knowledges that came from God. And yes, there's scriptural backings to this. So try to watch this video to the end. There is an attack on the female gender. Have you ever wondered why the men in these generations are committing more crime? Why is there more crime in this generation than the previous generation before? Why are the men engaging in more crime? And why are the women more promiscuous than ever before? The men are engaging in crime, hardened criminals committing crimes, killing, murder, and so on. And the women are promiscuous. The women are more of whores in society, more of sexual deviance, more of sexual promiscuity, more of women selling their body in prostitution. There's a reason for this, and everything goes back to the attack, the deliberate, non-identifiable attack on the female gender. In order to destroy society, the devil's plan has been to destroy society. But in order to destroy society, he must first destroy the marriage institution. No. I don't think you guys are ready for this, but wait. In order to destroy society, you have to destroy family. And in order to destroy family, you have to destroy the marriage institution. There is a reason why marriage is having the worst PR of all times, and there's a deliberate attack on marriages worldwide. There is a high rate of divorce. There is a bad negative PR on marriage. If you go online and search about marriage, the first 5 to 10 videos is about one negative thing about the husband beating the wife, about this, that will discourage you. You even have men saying in the comment section, "I no go marry," or if you even have girls in the comment section saying, "If this is how marriage is, I don't want. Let me just make my money and be going." Listen, the devil has been over the female gender, and Solomon said something. Songs of Solomon and Proverbs have been my favorite, especially Ecclesiastes. In the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon said, "What has happened in the past, it shall be. That's what have happened in the beginning, so shall it be in the end." And that's very, very strong quote. As Solomon was so wise, he saw the end. He was granted wisdom by God such a way that he saw the end of things from the present, right? Because you're like everything you're sweating for, someone is going to inherit it. Who can sit down and think like that? That is always someone that already transcended the human level of wisdom. He had the knowledge of God in him, although he felt in the end he backslided. I don't know what he did with his life, but Solomon said something that struck me. He said, "What happened in the beginning shall be in the end." Now, when I say the devil is attacking the female, and the devil have always been after women, I'll take it back to Eve. What happened in the garden? The devil went after Eve, not the man, Adam. And when he went after Eve, Eve fell. And when Eve fell, her husband fell. And everything, all the promises God made for them, they lost it. They were drove out of the garden, and sin came upon the world. Sin came upon the world through these two people. And every form of sin and hardship you're saying came from them. Although Christ came to save us and to redeem us from the sin and the deadness of sin. But what if the devil is doing the same thing that happened in the beginning? He's doing it now. Now, to make you guys understand this, when God created us man first, but he saw that man was lonely and then he made a companion, a woman. That should show you that we're social creatures. We can't do without each other. A man can't do without a woman can't do without a man. And all these gender wars you're seeing online is not from God, obviously. There is a deliberate attack to pitch the male gender against the female gender. And when these two genders are attacking themselves, what you're going to have is ruin. What you're going to have is collapse of society, because women are the preservation of the human life on this earth. That is the gift God gave. It's a blessing and it's also a curse. God told Eve, in pain you shall give birth, but you shall multiply. That multiply was a blessing, that you're going to be able to bear children and continue the human race. So what if the devil's plan had been to destroy the foundation of society? And I believe women are the foundation of society. To give you an analogy of what I'm about to explain, if I want to take down Dangote company, what do you think I will do? I'll go to the heart of Dangote company, which is the refinery. Once I take the refinery, then everything crumbles, right? I'll go to the heart of Dangote. I will take down the machines that are producing the oil, the sand, the sugar, and every product that comes from that Dangote company. I will first of all destroy the machines, thereby pausing production. So could it be that in order to destroy society, the devil is deliberately attacking women, feeding women with a lot of false information and deliberate miseducation to divert them off the plan that God had for them? To make you understand this, we're social creatures. A man can do without a woman can do without a man. More like yin and yang. These two complement themselves. So when the female gender goes down, automatically the male gender goes down as well. A society whereby there are more promiscuous women is a society where you find criminals, thieves, men like engaging in hardened criminals activity. In a society where there are more feminine, preserved women, that is a society where the men are productive. Because at the end of the day, God made us in such a way that we should, the end result of everything is marriage. A man will work, make money, and he will look for a wife. The white woman, on the other hand, is just brought up by her family, her parents, up to the point where she's going to be carried by somebody else to be taken care of for life. That's marriage. That's marriage at the end of the day. Now, imagine a society where the women are not more feminine and the women are promiscuous. Do you think that the men will marry at the end of the day? The answer is no. Because men are attracted to feminine, preserved women, virtuous women. A man will marry a woman he wants his daughters to grow into. So imagine a society where 80% of the women are promiscuous and bad. You find out that marriage will decline in that society. The men will end up having just children outside of wedlock, which is ultimately the plan of the enemy, because having children outside of wedlock, it pitches the society in a self-destructive pattern. Because what happens when you have children outside of wedlock, there's statistics on this, that children born outside of wedlock, they are more prone to violence, criminal activities, drug, prostitution. Meanwhile, when you compare to children who are raised in a marital institution with both parents and guide as guardians in their life, those children turn out to be well behaved, well mannered, educated, disciplined. So the attack has been on marriage, because if you can destroy marriage, you can destroy the family, and if you can destroy family, you can destroy society. That is why there is a deliberate push on the sexual liberation of a woman. I made a video a long time ago explaining how a woman should protect her sexual purity. That's the only innocence she has. And if a woman loses her sexual purity, she has gone down the slope of value of which she was born into. Now, to make people understand this, there's a reason why when there is war breaks out and the men go out there and die in the war. So that there's a reason why men go to war. They go to war to preserve something back at home. And what they go to preserve back are women and children. And when the men go to war and they're defeated in the battle, what does the enemy do? The enemy will move into the city and seize the women and children, and they kill every man and boy child, but they preserve the women, and they turn the women into sex slave and baby factory producing people that just recreate, that produce for these people, and they, in that way, they wash out the lineage or the history of the previous nation. That those women are taken as sex slave, and they are married, firstly married to their new captors, and they are made to give birth to their new captors, thereby reproducing heirs for that new nation that conquered them, thereby washing away the previous nation of which they came from. This is what happened with Rome. This is what happened with Greek and every nation. Read about war histories. When a nation loses the war, the enemy moves in and attacks. Go after who first? The women, because like I said, women are the preservators of nature, of the human race. A woman's womb, I call it a portal. This is too much of it. This is too deep. I don't know. I don't want to go too deep so you guys don't get confused. Now, there is a reason why people who engage in Luciferian behaviors, satanic worship, ritual and stuff, the occult. There is a reason why in every human sacrifice they use a woman. Back then in secondary school, I was a deep reader. I was reading deep into all of this before I almost got consumed by the knowledge I had. At some point, I had to stop because I was going too deep. I was beginning to see things and hear things. It was very scary. But they called women portal. And in every human sacrifice they did, they used women because at the end of the day, they understood that the woman's womb is a portal. That is the reason. It's through the portal that the giants came into the world. Who are the giants? The Nephilims. They were the product of human and angelic being. Genesis 6, angels came down and slept with women and they gave birth to giants. So I think after Genesis 6, something happened that probably God had to reverse or do something about it, because at the end of the day, they broke cosmic laws. There is universal laws, there is cosmic laws, and there is natural laws. Cosmic laws are the laws that cannot be broken. They're the laws in which the ultimate divine, they're the laws upon which the ultimate divine rests upon. To give you an instance, Satan cannot appear in your room because there is cosmic laws. There is a barrier between the spiritual realm and the physical realm. Right? Satan cannot appear in your room. Devil cannot appear in your room. Devil that cannot physically attack you because they are angelic being. They are called dominion. This angelic being, they are responsible for keeping the second heaven. God. It's not called, and guess what? Guess what the time is? This is 4 o'clock. Between 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, there's a huge dimensional rift. The gravitational pull slows down. But me, I know that something is happening in the spiritual realm. It is a time when the spiritual portals are very, very weak. That's why you have a lot of satanic, there's a lot of spiritual attack during this time. That's why you need to be very, very prayerful. That's why sometimes I wake up instantly by 3 and I'm told to pray. Now, like I said, Satan cannot appear because there are cosmic laws holding and binding him. And before Adam and Eve fell in the Garden of Eden, I believe they could see angels. They could see the spiritual realm, what I call the third heaven. But after they fell to sin, their eyes were closed. They had the knowledge of good and bad. They had to be chased out of the Garden of Eden. So, not to divert off, I believe that the reason why this generation, there's a push on promiscuity. And promiscuity was pushed by feminism, right? I'm a student of feminism. I know how feminism started. Feminism had the first wave of feminism was all about allowing women to vote and to work, and against physical abuse in the home. But that was hijacked. The first feminism started since 18th centuries up to 1941 or something. The second wave of feminism started from 1970. It was the sexual liberation of women. In other words, reproductive rights. They were now having discussions on why women should be allowed to sleep around and not to be judged by society, and at the same time women should be allowed to decide what they do with their body. That's where that quote comes out. Their body their choice, meaning that if they should get pregnant, because the devil is so smart, right? He, they pushed for the sexual liberation of women, and at the same time prepared for when women should get pregnant, what they should do. Because, like I always tell women, you can't compare yourself to a man. The reason why men are allowed to sleep around because men can't get pregnant. The reason why men are sleep around without being judged. I promise you that if men could get pregnant as well as women, and men will not be sleeping around. Out of the two genders, there's only one gender that can get pregnant, and it's the female gender. That's the reason why sexual promiscuity have been frowned upon, because you want to sleep around and mess around as men do, you will get pregnant. And ultimately, when you get pregnant, who will bear responsibility for the child? No one. And then you end up left with the option to abort. So why they were pushing for the sexual liberation of women, the Rockefeller Foundation, which is popular for its occultic roots, right? Like I said, the devil will paint a picture he wants you to believe, but he will not give you the full details of what that picture is all about. He'll just show you the bright side of the canvas, but he will not show you the other part of the canvas. Why they were pushing for the feminism? Feminism, like I say, started in a good form, was for women to be liberated in terms of domestic abuse. Women should be allowed to work, and that will take care of the home themselves. I understand and I believe and I accept those kind of teaching. But what went wrong was from 1970. That was what they call the sexual revolution. Read about it, whereby divorce was on the rise. So now, guess what? Now they were not pushing for divorce. That women, the government of the United States were like, okay, look, if you want to divorce your husband, we'll pay you in the form of alimony, right? You can divorce your husband and get paid, and you also get the right to keep the children. And when that law was passed, a lot of women, hundreds upon women, were divorcing their spouses, because, like I said, the reason why divorce is climbing and will never come down, because divorce favors them. Imagine a law that favors them. Imagine a contract whereby your co-contractor can walk out of the contract and he takes half of the company. A lot of people will be walking out of their contracts. That's what marriage is now in this 21st century. With the divorce law signed into place, women were allowed to walk away from marriages, even though the husband was not abusive or anything. Maybe they were just tired with the man and they don't have feelings again, because, like I said, women are ruled by their emotions and feelings. And there are times in a relationship where your spouse is no longer attractive, maybe your spouse is not annoying to you, but, like I said, time is the only thing that can rekindle that fire of love. But when divorce laws were signed into place, women found out that there's a way better option of walking away, and I get to keep the children, I get to keep the house, I get to keep half of the man's wealth, properties, the man gets to pay me, right? Child support, think about all the benefit that came in divorce. So divorce was on the rise. But what these women don't understand, it was the devil's intention to pull them out of the family, because the plan of the devil was to remove the husband from the family. Because when you remove the husband, the man who is supposed to be the disciplinary figure of the family, the children are exposed towards society. And when you remove discipline, remember, spare the rod, spoil the child will definitely spoil. Now, when divorce happened, a lot of women were stopping their ex-husband from seeing their children. They were writing to courts to keep restraining orders. The court was giving custody of the children to the women more than the men. About 90% of the cases, the women kept custody of the children, right? And that was the enemy's intention, the Rockefeller's intention. So from the 1970s came the sexual liberation, divorce, my body, my choice. Women were not sexually liberated. They could divorce their husband and sleep with whoever they wanted. And guess what happened? That ultimately destroyed the nuclear family. And these children that were born in that 1970s, most of them are parents today, and they're training their children with the kind of exposure they had. That's why a lot of children in the West are spoiled. That's why a lot of children, as young as 12 years old, they've lost their virginity, they've slept around, and they've abused themselves. Because at the end of the day, your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. The enemy has been after this body, right? And removing your parents from your life exposed you to the filth of the world, the filth. Then porn came about, right? And then the reproductive right, the right to, imagine women are claiming they wanted the right to what? Abortion is a right and is not a sin. Abortion is health care. They started pushing for abortion and actually get approved. Abortion is legal in America. About 60 million children have been aborted from the womb of their mothers since 1970 up till now. Now ask yourself the question, why? You see, the devil is after women, but that is not the primary reason why he's after women. He's after the children. Why is he after the children? Because according to the book of Revelation, two witnesses will be born in the end time. These two witnesses will have so much power. They will have the ability to call fire from heaven. I believe the last two witnesses are on earth. That's to show you judgment day is close by, and the enemy has been working tirelessly to prevent their arrival. That is why he has been pushing for these certain laws that looks like freedom, but freedom, like I say, is very, very destructive. Now, I don't know if the last two people, I feel the last two witnesses on earth, but maybe even the last two witnesses are not on earth and they're yet to come. The enemy is striving to destroy and to disrupt their for them to arrive by doing a lot of things, like I say, destroying the female gender that is responsible for the production of life and preservation of human society. And that's why the enemy has been after women for a long time. Because if he makes the women promiscuous, the men will lose that natural urge to provide and protect. The men will no longer become providers or protectors anymore. The men will lose purpose because men's purpose is inversely and indirectly and directly linked to women. We can't do it ourselves. We are symbiotic. We are made symbiotic. We are more like symbiotic relationship whereby a man is a woman and a woman is a man. Women are the preservers and men are the protectors. And the reason why a lot of men are committing crime and living a life of purposelessness is because they have nothing to protect. No women to protect anymore. And the reason why women are no longer having kids and having children, they're having children outside of wedlock, and they are down this drain of promiscuity because they're no longer the preservers again. They've been manipulated by the enemy through the cause of human rights and freedom. Freedom, an unchained freedom, an undefined freedom is rebellion against God. One thing about America is that they're proud of their freedom and they have the freedom to do whatever they want, freedom to be LGBT and the rest of that. Is because at the end of the day, the enemy is at the rock bottom of the definition of that freedom, which is rebellion against God, open rebellion. That is why a lot of filthy, hedonistic things are happening in America. Right now, they're about to approve pedophilia. That's grown men, adult men can start sleeping with children. That is the only law they have not approved, but they're pushing for it. They're calling pedophilia a human right. That they're pushing for it actively. But like I said, back to the real question of what I was talking about. The enemy has been after the female gender. Because if he can get the female gender to lose their sexual purity, they will lose their purpose. And when the women lose their purpose, they go that downhill of sexual promiscuity. And then the men who are supposed to protect them, saying that the women are no longer that shining star or that innocent veil to protect, the men lose their purpose and they end up being criminals and committing vile acts in society, because when they don't have what to protect, they lose their purpose. They're supposed to protect the preservers, but the preservers are no longer available, and the preservers have gone down the hill. That is why you're seeing marriages hard in this 21st century, because most of the women have a heap of body counts because they've been sleeping around. And then when the men want to marry, the men are saying, no, I cannot marry a woman that has some amount of body count. Then the women are getting bitter, and that's why you're seeing all this gender war going online up and down, because the women have been lied to that anything a man can do, a woman can do better. If a man can sleep around, then you as a woman, you should be allowed to sleep around. But what you don't understand is that a man's body has no worth. A man can go out naked on the road. Before he reaches the next junction, he will be arrested. and tag them, whatever, he'll be arrested and thrown into the bin or be abused. But if a woman goes around, people will be taking pictures, she's more likely to draw the attention of the crowd because a woman's body is priceless. A woman's body is her true value. There's a reason why kings went to war. Kings went to war over lusts. Kings went to war over women. The reason why men clung to power so that they can power and wealth so that they can at the end of the day attain their undesirable they can attain their lust, the number of women they wanted. Show me a man that has power and wealth and you will not see him without a woman. Power and wealth at the end of the day is used to attract the female gender. That's why a lot of kings, conquerors, emperors, and all these powerful men in society had multiple wives. They are always going to, it's always going to be related to that, because women are the pioneers and foundation of society, and the devil, the enemy, is going after them hard. And as Eve fell, and through her fall, she brought down her husband. In this day and age, as it was in the beginning, so shall it be. That in order to destroy men entirely, the devil is attacking women first. Because if he can bring down women, ultimately the men will be brought down at the same time. Because men and women cannot do that. We're almost similar. We're like bound to ourselves. There's like a chain reaction. It's like a ripple effect. If the men fall, if the women fall, the men will ultimately fall. And that is just the truth. And that is what's happening. Think about it. Look at society today. A lot of unmarried women who are above their 30s. A lot of unmarried men as well. Right? There's nothing to protect, and a lot of men are into crime. A lot of women are into promiscuity, sexual promiscuity, because the oldest profession, the oldest dishonorable profession known to women has been prostitution since the beginning of time to now. And the oldest dishonorable profession to men has been theft, stealing, crime. And that is what is happening now. Right? And another thing I want to add, the reason why the devil is attacking marriage, because he knows that if couples marry early, if people start marrying early, right, there will be no need to commit crime. I'm a father like this. I have a kid. Do you think committing crime will be anything on? That will be the last thing in my mind, because if I commit a crime, I'll be like, I have a child. Let me not go and commit a crime and I'll be locked up or sentenced. I cannot see my wife and my child. There are certain things that will keep me away from committing some unholy, godly acts because I have a family. Family creates a sense of responsibility. So the reason why the previous generation there was less of crimes and less of promiscuous men and women and criminal men is because that generation was marrying on time. Our parents' generation, they married on time. They were marrying from 17 years, 18 years, right? So when they married, they were bound with responsibility that made it very difficult for them to commit crimes in society. It made it very difficult for their women to stand on the road, made it very difficult for their men to commit criminal activities because they were bound with responsibility of family and children. Now the devil have scattered family, and the men are purpose. The men are running around without purpose. The women are running around without purpose. The women are standing on the road in prostitution. The men are going about committing criminal acts because you've destroyed family. You have destroyed everything. You destroy marriage, you destroy family, you destroy society as a whole. The devil wants a society, a godless society, and this is the only way to achieve that. This has been his plan. So to the men out there, protect the women. If you have a girl child, please protect the girl child. Protect your sisters. Fathers, protect your daughters. Brothers, protect your sisters. Don't listen or follow influencers that are teaching you just how to sleep with a woman and not commit to her. If you're sleeping with any lady out there, please commit to her. Don't go around looking for who you're going to sleep with and go, because if you're sleeping with all these women, what you're doing is that you're ultimately ruining them for their husbands. All these girls that you are sleeping with and throwing them to the side, who are you leaving them for? That lady you slept with is somebody's wife, someone's future wife. And it's as much as she gave you a green light, you still owe God a responsibility to not take advantage of her. Do you know I've once turned down sex from a woman before because I knew I was not interested in her and I knew I'll not date her. And she was very, very offended. She called me names, but I knew why I did it, because I was not going to commit to you. I'm not going to sleep with you when I know I don't like you. If you are going to get pregnant in the process, well, I will not be there with you. I will leave you. And that will make you what? A single mother. And if that makes you a single mother, the child that will be born will be affected. You see how one chain of reaction can mess up a whole generation. So I'm not going to be that irresponsible person. As anybody I'm sleeping with is who I want to marry and commit with for life. So to the men, you owe God the responsibility to not take advantage of the naive women out there that were not protected by their fathers or their brothers. It's your responsibility to protect that their um, virtue for them. Please, I promise you, because if the women are lost, eventually the men will be lost as well. Because if the women are promiscuous and the men ended up marrying promiscuous women, in that marriage they will go through a lot of disgrace, cheating, and the marriage will ultimately 90% of the time it ends in divorce. And guess what? The children that are born in that marriage will be born into a broken home, and they will be affected. They will grow up with childhood trauma. And these children will grow up and become parents and can teach their own children what they learned, and we end up messing society. There's a reason why society is as messed up as it is now, because a lot of these people are affected. These are the generation that came from broken home. That's why you're having more crazy people in this society today. We have more ill-mannered, non-responsible people. So please, that is the message I want to pass.